Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm finally going to be doing a full review and synopsis of this god-awful book, like beyond bottom of the barrel scrapings, one of the worst books I have read by Beatrice Sparks, although it's kind of a tough race to the bottom. So many of her books like competing for like last place. I have a bunch of prior videos I've been doing 100 things wrong with this book, as well as a recent video, the absolutely like shocking medical misinformation that eating disorders, like as in all of Dr. Fraud's books, like the problem develops lightning quick because she couldn't be arsed to actually write something that's, novel length. This book, I was shocked. Kobo says it's only 37,000 words. That's not even like novel length, even for like lower YA. Like, see, she just couldn't be bothered to like develop characters and storylines and issues over a more realistic time frame. Like, oh, God forbid the book be set over 2 or 3 years. Nope, gotta bang, 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 shoot at that morality play. I don't care about creating great literature. So, and this is based off of a blog post I published on the 19th of February, 2025. Oh, this book is so awful. I cannot imagine ever wanting to like voluntarily read this again. It's just bad. I really hate Beatrice Sparks. I have so much fun making videos ripping her apart. So anyway, let's just start getting down with it. 17-year-old Kim, or as she says, I'm 17 and a half because all teenagers are still having their ages, so she's very excited to find a journal, not a diary, while at the mall with her BFF Melanie, since she hasn't had a journal in many years. Due to clever, sexist, modern marketing schemes, which I shamefully admit I myself have, fallen victim to, she associates larger notebooks with serious journals kept by adults versus the small notebooks with girly covers she deems diaries. And there's a whole, like, you could do a whole separate video about that, subject. Like, when did the word diary become like something like shameful? That's like girly girls, little girls do that, but serious adults keep journals and diaries. I always have like unicorns and fairies and butterflies and flowers on the cover, but journals are like solid print and they have a larger trim size and anyway. Though it's the 1st of March and there are only a few more months left till graduation, Kim thinks it'll be fun to look back on her last year of high school after she goes away to college. Like, again, Dr. Fraud, she did this over and over and over again. She could not keep like dating or times consistent. Like, for example, the time zone in one state is like earlier than it is in real life, or like the dates don't add up, like just so many things. But like, there's 3 months left of the year, how are you looking back at your last year of high school? Just say your last quadrimester or your last semester. But again, she could not be arsed to write books set over like 2 or 3 years instead of, oh, let's bang it out in all of like 1 year, 18 months, maybe 2 years in the beginning. But no, I'm too lazy now. It's all about teaching the kids with my little morality plays. Kim records a rather shallow existence in her supposedly serious adult journal, particularly how boy crazy she is. Like, how many 17-year-olds are still that freaking like, oh, Johnny looked at me, giggle, 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 and then I liked Jackie, and then I liked Harry and Henry and all these cute boys, and oh, Billy is looking at me, la, 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 oh, which boys should I crush on this week, do, stupid ass. She's also a gymnast, though that she barely mentions any real details about her participation in the sport, beyond vague generalities every so often. Her pet subject is boys, and more boys. And this is the like actual first entry, March 1st. I'm surprised there's no time of date attached. Wow! Today Melanie and I were checking out things we couldn't afford in the mall when she spotted a little table stacked with journals. Neither of us had had one since we were little kids. Then they were called diaries, and they were a third the size of these journals and a third as thick. Like, literally all books advertised as diaries met those exact parameters, Kim. Like, seriously, I need to get out more. It will be fun next year, when I am in college, to read about my last year in high school. Yes, spoken on the 1st of March. Again, that's not your last year of high school. That's your last, like, 3-4 months. Going from a diary to a journal is like exploding into adulthood. Cue the all caps. Scary. Yeah, that was one of the stupidest openings ever. What idiot. So Kim's family moved from North Carolina to Arizona almost a year ago when Daddykins was offered a job at a hospital and Mommykins got a not too demanding job in accounting. Because, oh, God forbid a woman have a really serious career in Dr. Fraud world, particularly if she's married and a mommy. Her older sisters, Dara and Lara, almost always impersonally referred to as the twins, as though twins are one person with two bodies. That's just so frickin' insulting. Are 11 years her senior and still on the East Coast where they're teachers. Kim is a classic NIMBY. Oh, I wonder where Dr. Fraud pulled that one from, who thinks living in an apartment is beneath her and not a real home because, oh, God forbid you don't have a nice yard out back. Oh, you have to go to a public park. Oh, heaven forbid you're like rubbing elbows with people who aren't white and delightsome and as rich as you are. Oh, horrible. She can't stop whining and ranting about the new living situation, even though they're in a luxury apartment with a restaurant, doorman, and other great amenities. I would love to live in an apartment like that, and probably a condo or an apartment is like much, or a co-op is much more, suited realistically to me than living in a whole ass like separate house. You have to clean and like do all the maintenance on it yourself or hire people to do your maintenance. And like so many apartments these days, they come with great stuff like that. Like, why is she complaining? Oh, God forbid you don't have a private yard. Well, many apartments these days, they have nice, courtyards, or they have a common grounds. In the apartment I was living in for a long time in Albany, it was like a pond was our literal backyard with like nice grounds and picnic tables. But anyway, moving on. In between all these whiny rants and swooning over boys, Kim hurts her wrist, oh, poor babykins, during a floor exercise. Like, we don't get any details, like what exactly were you doing, but I don't think Dr. Fraud, I know Dr. Fraud didn't even bother researching anything about gymnastics at all, like judging by how we get like little to no detail about what gymnasts actually do. So anyway, Kim has to take some time off of gymnastics from the injury. During this time, she starts idly wondering if losing weight might help her to get better at sport, and like she bang, 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 jumps right into the disordered eating mode instead of like gradually developing into it over time, like most people who have had eating disorders describe the process. Now, speaking of being boy crazy, Kim soon sets her sights on Tad, a boy she worked on the spring thing dance with. Oh yeah, that's a clever, like stupid name, Dr. Fraud. She had no creativity. They go on a date to see all the pretty horses. I should have mentioned this in the 100 Things Wrong series, a movie which released, wait for this, Christmas 2000. Despite the dates lining up with 2001 to 2002. Yeah, dating got wrong yet again. And Dr. Fraud apparently intending to set the story from 2000 to 2001, judging by the start date of UCLA's autumn semester. Like, she never could keep dates and times straight. And anyway, like, regardless of which year she wanted her to set it in or thought it was being set in, why doesn't Kim mention the election in 2000 or in 2001? Why is there a gap between like the 1st and the 22nd of September? She never mentions 9/11 or never any other news events that everyone would have been talking about in 2000 or 2001. Like, does she want us to believe these diarists just live in La La Land? They have no like connection with news. They just no engagement with anything beyond their own immediate lives and problems. Yet again, signs these were not real diaries. Anyway, Kim immediately becomes obsessed with Tad. Oh, Taddykins, my precious, precious Tadala, and hatches delusions about their automatic future together, just like all the other girls in these books. I mean, of course, I understand when you're a teen, like speaking myself from like memory, your emotions are so strong and heightened, like because you don't really have any life experience. That's not an insult. It's just like a fact. You're like young, like 16, 17, whatever. You can't imagine you would ever like or love or have such strong feelings for any guy in the same way again. Oh, this, like, Jack is all I ever have known, the only guy I've ever had such feelings for. I can't imagine ever like falling out of love with him or meeting someone I like even more, that we might realize we're incompatible after like dating for a couple of years or even for a couple of months. How can you suggest I would love anyone like that again? But all these girls, they just seem to think, oh, he's the one. We'll automatically get married when we're 18. That's just not so realistic with modern girls. Like how many girls these days are still thinking, oh, we're going to be jumping right to marriage as soon as we turn 18 instead of, oh, we're just going to like date first and get to know one another better and have fun just dating instead of like Mr. and Mrs. Husband's full name. But anyway, Kim is also excited about being accepted to UCLA, which both of her parents and the twins attended, though selfishly hopes Tad decides to go there too, instead of to his dream school, Harvard. What an a-hole. However, she worries about being too young and immature to survive away from her precious, precious, precious parents, particularly because she skipped a grade and a half, or almost a grade and a half, as she pretentiously says, when she was 9, and is thus younger than other first-year students. And this is one of the many reasons grade skipping is not nearly as common as it used to be, or at least in the US, because now we have like other ways we can like engage with and like help and reach like students who are genuinely like advanced for their age. We don't just, oh, this student like is really, really smart, like is doing like 8th grade level math, and the 5th grader can read like I did, like 4 or 5 grade levels above her. Let's just like skip her all those grades and like forget about like, social, like emotional, like psychological, like mental development. There's more to school than just like academics. And I'm so glad more schools these days have like started to realize this, instead of just, oh, well, just like a quick fix to a problem the student is unchallenged, just like skip the grades instead of like doing something else, like, coursework, separate groups. But anyway, I'm getting off track. Kim is even more excited when her coach, says a UCLA coach, saw some tapes of her and looks forward to seeing her in person. Like, yeah, okay, that's cool, but that's not a guarantee you're going to get in. But of course, Dr. Fraud, it will be a guarantee. She's so excited. She cuts class. What again? To call mommykins and daddykins at work. Like, who the hell does that? My parents would have been like, why are you skipping class to tell me something like this? We're going to be talking to you when we get home. Why did you think that was so important? You had to like call us at work. All these kids are so spoiled. Daddykins pawns his patient off on another doctor. Oh, yeah, like so many doctors are doing that, to take the call from his spoilt brat daughter. And Mommykins almost jumps on top of her top of her desk to dance a jig. Yeah, I'll take things that never happened for like 2,000, Alex. Kimmykins and her darling parents go sailing and hiking the next day, Saturday. These people are such, like, they're overprivileged, like rich people or upper middle class. They have no idea how the real world lives. So we can just like drop everything at the drop of a hat. Let's take a nice little weekend vacation, or like take off of work in the middle of the week to take an unnecessary trip back east to just do all this stuff. Oh, pawn my patient off on another doctor because my spoiled daughter is calling about a non-important thing, la la la. And anyway, during dinner at the lodge, Kim stuffs her food into a napkin when her parents, oh, that's so convenient, they leave to greet friends. She hides it behind a potted plant. Like, how often would this happen? Of course, like, oh, people are on the phone, or, oh, they went to look at someone else. Someone came in that they knew, oh, got to do it now. Dump that food down the disposal and hide it in the plant. Like, how often would that really happen? And did no one else, are we supposed to believe no one else is seeing Kim doing this at all? Again, Dr. Fraud was a horrible, horrible writer. Despite developing disordered thoughts about food and eating, much more lightning quick than normal for someone with an eating disorder, Kim's main thoughts, surprise, surprise, soon drift back to boys, 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 and more boys. She's upset. Taddykins seems to have lost interest in her. Oh, imagine the thought, a teenage boy not wanting to settle down with the first and ever girl he likes or does anything with. But there are lots of other boys to crush on in the meantime. The twins beg Mommykins and Daddykins to let Kimmykins take 4 days off to visit them, including 2 days of school. Yes, some big sisters those are, particularly teachers themselves. Would they accept that kind of absentee notice from their students? And if they are, like, wow, I would have so many questions for them if they were real. When Kim comes back from this vacation that apparently couldn't wait till summer, Mommykins and Daddykins surprise her with a redecorated apartment that almost matches their old house. Like Kim says, we had to leave all of our furniture behind. Like, what's the story behind that? Again, Dr. Fraud, she would just dump something that seemed important on the page. No, we're not going to talk about that again or develop it even further. It's just like something throwaway I mentioned off the cuff. La la la, let's keep going with the plot. They must live in East Podunk, since they were allowed to take days off work to redecorate and buy new furniture. Yeah, who wouldn't love a job like that? Particularly a doctor. Like, are you insane, Dr. Fraud? Kim's new love interest, Brett, quickly turns out to be a creepy stalker after all of one date he's obsessed with her, who almost abducts her and Melanie with an equally creepy friend. But of course, that trauma is immediately dropped like it never happened. Yet another one of her tropes and MOs. Kim is also upset Melanie is spending too much time with her new beau Nikki and switches to BFF Cam, all this like stupid teen drama. At graduation, I mentioned this in one of my earliest videos about everything wrong with this book, the valedictorian gives a goofy, cringy, jingoistic speech that oh so realistically reduces everyone, even the principal, to tears. Yeah, my ass this happened, and culminates in everyone standing up and chanting a jingoistic declaration in unison, like, oh no, it's like Stephen Decatur, herder, our country right or wrong, precious, precious Americans, let's jerk off to the flag. It's like so freaking creepy. Is that really common in the mortar? Like, my hair would have been standing on end if that happened at a graduation. I found the creepy daily loyalty oath to the flag, like, goofy and bizarre enough, and many of my teachers were like very upset and confused by my refusal to go along with that like absolutely bizarre ritual, which by the way, like almost no other country on earth has, but like anyway, rant over. Kim almost gets raped in a closet. Oh, she just really loved trauma dumping across this book. At a gymnastics party a few days later, but her friend Jade comes to the rescue with expert kickboxing. Yeah, I mentioned that in previous videos too. Like, isn't that kind of, well, I know it is more than a little low-key racist of Dr. Fraud. Oh, a Chinese American character. Oh, let's name her Jade instead of something like why did you have to give her such like a stereotypical name like that? I mean, of course there are actual Chinese American women named Jade, but like, her, like she was thinking with racist mindset, and again, martial arts on an Asian character. Wow. Within 24 hours, Kim has repressed and recovered from this trauma too. Oh, that's convenient and so realistic. PTSD doesn't exist in Dr. Fraud's world. When she has a sleepover at Jade's, she puts her dinner down the disposal while everyone is on the phone. Earlier that day, Kim put the lunch from Jade's mother, which smelled great, she said, behind rocks and shrubs on a hike. She only drank strawberry water. Kim is so famished by nighttime, she eats table scraps from the dog's bowl, and she's humiliated like Jade almost catches her, and she's crying at night. A few weeks later, she slips back into disordered thinking and vomits up her dinner, and I mentioned this also, like she's afraid, oh, I think they're talking about me. They saw me dumping the food down in disposal and I'm so disrespectful and gross and they never want to see me again. Oh, thank goodness. It wasn't that. It was just that Jade's brother wrecked his car and got into an accident. Ugh, wow, what an a-hole. Ugh. Daddykins has a heart attack. Something else that is never mentioned again after this, like, brief drama. Like, Dr. Fraud, oh, she was totally inconsistent, a terrible plotter. And his colleague, Dr. Blake, wow, that's a nice friend, very generously books him and Mommykins an 8-day holiday at a resort. Like, who wouldn't want a friend like that? Rather than let baby Kimmykins stay at home alone, Mommykins, Daddykins make her stay by the Blakes. This means the Blake's son, BJ. Yeah, like what teen boy in the modern era still goes by freaking BJ? That's like asking for constant jokes. So he has to chauffeur her 38 miles back into town for her community college classes. Like, who would do that, particularly for like someone taking classes and a 17-year-old? Like, they're treating her like a giant baby, and that's a huge inconvenience on everyone involved. Like, oh, wow. Kim has new hope for a relationship with Tad when he invites her to his dad's remarriage. I had so much to rant about this. And this, of course, leads to several unhinged rants about the inherent evils and sins of divorce, another Dr. Fraud specialty. While they're bawling together, no, divorce is no words, how horrible. Oh, Mommy, well, I'm betraying Mommy, I'm humiliated. Daddy is getting remarried, how could I do this? I want to off myself, la, divorce bad, herder. And so, well, they're bawling about this, how wrong divorce is afterwards, and how humiliated Tad was. Like, why? It's your dad's life, not yours. Kim promises to love him and support him forever, like all 17-year-old girls are thinking. Kim's gaydar goes off when Tad declines this offer, and Tad confirms it. Like, there's absolutely no context clues, like, reading between the lines, unwritten gay character, like, nothing. Like, why would you even think that? Like, whose mind is going to go there? As though the only reason an 18-year-old boy would refuse a full-blown, serious relationship from a crazy chick coming on way too strong is that he's gay. Like, seriously. Kim continues skipping meals and vomiting up food over this summer, and her parents and Coach Jim of Jim's Gym, who previously screamed at her for gaining 7 pounds, only try to feed her more when they notice she's getting skinny. So be consistent, Jim. Either you're upset she gained weight, or you're upset she's getting skinny. Like, which is it, dude? Be consistent. No serious discussions to try to find out what's really going on before she goes off to UCLA and is, oh wow, this is great, automatically accepted into the same sorority Mommykins and the twins belong to. Not only that, she gets to move right into their house. Wow. Dr. Freud had no clue how Greek life works. I mean, I was never in a sorority myself, although I did live on frat row my senior year at UMass, and even I know you don't just, okay, mom was in the sorority, my sister's grandma, like a couple of aunts, cousins, whatever, like great grandma too, and okay, you're in, miss. Good, you can even live in our house. There's no need to pledge or rush or investigate other sororities or like be accepted or like anything. Just like come right in because you have the legacy. Like, she did not do a damn freaking lick of research for any of these books. Ugh. Kim is immediately homesick for mommykins and daddykins, unlike the normal first-year student who's thrilled to finally be away from her parents. She even thinks about going home so she can continue being unhealthily codependent on them. And there's even one scene where Kimmykins calls mommy in the middle of the night or late at night. I have to tell mommy how much I love her and how much mommy means to me. And mommy and I cry together for like hours and hours. Oh, my precious, precious mommy. Phone call. I talked to dad and part of me wanted to go back home. Like, who cares about independence from mommy and daddy? Like, ooh, this is so unlike idiots. Like, I'm so unlike the average college students. It's only 6 a.m., but I simply had to call mom and tell her all the wondrous things I think and feel about her. We talked for about an hour, bawling our eyes out and recalling all the fantastic times we've had together, as well as the bad times we've struggled through. What struggle? You seem to have a life of Riley. It was a wonderful experience. I feel so good about my talk with mommy. It's like she turned off the dark, cold whatever in me and switched on a light, bright, happy forever, burning, Arizona-colored sparkle in my heart. I am so grateful for the telephone. It's a lot more personal and warm than email. Like, I'm going to talk about this more in the psychology video. It's a sign that like the attachment has gone seriously wrong in an adolescent if they're not like pulling away and seeking independence from parents by the time they're a teenager. But again, she knew jack about psychology. Oh, and this is nice again. Mommykins comes for a weekend visit in October because Kimmykins can barely survive without Mamala. And they're chauffeured around by Lawrence, the cartoonishly perfect beau of Kim's roommate Maria. Kim is very jealous and wishes Lawrence were her man, and Maria is like depicted as this like huge bitch and a bed-hopping slut, like selfish because she actually cares about like her scientific career and her studies. So she's not stroking Peter Priesthood's ego when she comes home from a exciting weekend scientific conference. She only wants to talk about the things she did because like, oh, she's not putting herself last like a good little Molly Mormon doormat. La la la. Kim's eating disorder continues ramping up over the next few months, and she has trouble adjusting to college and making friends. Once again, she survives an attempted rape. Like, was Dr. Freud trying to say something about like herself confessing something? That she does include a lot of like rapes and assaults and attempted rapes and like pretty much all of these books. Like, so did that happen to her? Was she trying to channel her trauma in some way without outright admitting it? I have so many questions. So her two friends somehow manage to overpower the attacker and drag Kim from the frat's garden back to their car. Like, again, with the stupid trope, oh, women are so strong, they can physically overpower the average man in a fight, and that just does not happen, and that gives so many women unrealistic ideas about like competing with men in sports, or like having like a physical fight with men and winning. But again, that's a subject for a whole other thing. Within a week, Kim has successfully repressed this trauma too, just like a Dr. Fraud book, and just in time to hook up with Lawrence after he dumps Maria. This relationship is full of red flags. They're immediately codependent and entirely bypass the normal getting to know one another early stage and skip right to being extremely serious. Earth to Dr. Fraud, they're at UCLA, not YBU. Lawrence is dripping red flags with his constant oversharing about his entire life history, crying at the drop of a hat, feelings of abandonment by his dad after his mommy died, taking it as a personal insult that his dad is an atheist, which Kim thinks, oh, a cold shudder went through me. How could anyone not believe in God? Oh, no, horrible. Oh, no, Lawrence must be so sad and deprived because daddy is an atheist, and that must mean they never did Christmas, oh la la. And anyway, so he also drips red flags by treating a girl he barely knows like a wife of 20 plus years. Like from the jump, they're like just hanging out together constantly, like talking about personal stuff. They don't even seem to go on any formal dates. He's even sleeping with his head on her lap in the car, and she's like, oh, I just love listening to his precious, precious snoring. Snoring is a beautiful sound. Oh, la, la, la. Who the hell thinks snoring is beautiful? And when I love wiping the drool off of the side of his face, I'm a good Molly Mormon. If this book had actually continued when they were married, I know this is gross. I would not be surprised if there was a scene of Kim, like, wiping his ass and even, like, volunteering to use her hands as a toilet. That's, like, how creepily, like, devoted and doormat she is. Like, gross. Kimmykins thinks she can't function without this huge walking red flag, and keeps putting her off her flight home for Christmas. Not to worry, Daddykins miraculously manages to get them tickets 2 hours in advance on Christmas Eve. Like, wow, when does that happen? And the entire family immediately accepts this stranger as family. They put him up in the apartment and buy him 15 presents while he and Kim are en route. And like, wow, if I had said this to my parents, oh, I'm not coming home for the winter break from UMass. I'm sorry, I'm just putting it off again. And oh, and it turns out, oh, I just met this guy and I'm convinced he's going to be my automatic future husband. I barely know him. We're constantly spending time together. Oh, can he come over and like stay by our house? Yeah, you barely know him. Yeah, sure, honey, come on. Let's invite this stranger in. Like, he might murder us all in our beds while we're sleeping, and like he could be totally like using you. You barely know him, but yeah, let's treat him like an automatic future husband and not worry at all about this like creepily like a codependent like bizarre relationship. But anyway, Kim refuses to accept that Lawrence has a life outside of her. Oh, poor babykins, including needing to go to Baltimore to work on an important scientific project. Yeah, that's kind of what people do when they're like serious students and scientists. Her eating disorder gets worse while he's away, and she's admitted to a psych ward in January. Kim gets discharged lightning quick. Yeah, this was so unrealistic. After promising to follow dietary orders and eat the food they gave her. Can you imagine that happening in real life with anything? Yeah, I know I tried to unalive myself, doctor, but I promise I'll be good now. I'll never try that again. Okay, that's cool. We won't put a watch on you. No one will come to check up on you. We won't schedule any further appointments, like follow-up to see how you're doing, give you like psychiatric meds. We'll just take you at your word. You had a scare and won't try that again. Okay, go on your merry way. And then like 5 days later, disaster. Despite losing so much weight and developing such a disordered relationship with food, she still has enough energy to go to classes and do gymnastics as normal. That just does not happen when you have a serious eating disorder, or like I can relate from my own personal experience having like depression. In February or March, she's readmitted to the psych ward, and after an unspecified amount of time, the entries are conveniently undated. Date? Century? Month? Time? Year? And so Mommykins comes to bail her out, and then immediately flies home. That's shocking for a Sparks mother. Kim then dumps Lawrence over email and deletes his response unread. She feels like, oh, I'm just gonna drag him down. He doesn't need my whole gagging load of gagging garbage. My eating disorder. Poor babykins. He needs to be a good scientist and Peter Priested without me. Lawrence flies back to LA and calls Kim while he's en route, ordering her to meet him at the airport and saying it's an emergency. That's not stalker behavior at all. He drops even more red flags at their reunion, behaving like a total stalker, like, oh no, I'll never let you go. I couldn't, I wouldn't, I will never let you go again. Like, dude, get a life. And it gets even creepier when he says Kim has reminded him of his mother from the moment they met. Wow, it's like my ex once said something similar to me. Not the exact, oh, you remind me of my mama, but just I need a substitute for my mother, someone I can have sex with, someone my age. Wow, that was like one of the final straws for me in that relationship. Lawrence says he's known about Kim's eating disorder for a long time, yet cares for her so much he did jack about it. Wow, that's a good boyfriend. He then says they're getting married in a few years and flies back to Maryland. Bypass the whole like getting to know one another gradually. Just, oh, we barely know you. We're like joined at the hip immediately, constantly oversharing. And now like, we better get married because like you don't want to be a dirty licked cupcake someone else was eating. Like you want to have a nice factory sealed hymen so we can go pay, lay, ale in the baker's cap and the green fig leaf apron and the temple and the pure white gowns. Kim starts therapy in late March and is committed to getting and staying healthy by her birthday on the 21st of May. The first time in the entire 14 months of this book her birthday has ever been mentioned. Does she mean like her birthday was a few days ago and she's getting belated birthday presents just now? Because the 21st of May was mentioned like the first time it happened in the book, and there was not a single discussion of any kind of birthday. So again, she like jacked her dates, could not keep them like straight at all. And like, when did her father catch her doing the finger down the throat thing? That was never mentioned at all in this book. Did Dr. Fraud accidentally copy and paste out a whole chunk? Is that how this book ended up only 37,000 words? Like, oh, Daddy gave me my birthday present box in all caps with my old journal with the bad things that happened. Oh, I had them crying buckets of tears. I thought I hated Daddy and everyone else. I used to think my thinness was the only thing I could control. Now I know that the eating thing and the losing weight thing I planted and nurtured by myself. Yet again, like Dr. Fraud did not really believe in psychotherapy or taking drugs. How did it take me so many years? This book took 14 months to come to my senses, to stop hating myself. And cue the all caps, my secret. And now they like weird like italics. She uses this stupid typeface and font every time there's one of these silly poems scattered throughout. For the first time since I was little, I feel good. I feel right. It might take a long time to completely heal, but with the help of Mommy, Daddy, Lawrence, the twins, Susan, the therapist, and my twins, I can do it. Yay me! I'm going to get straight and stay perfect. I'm not going to have any relapses at all. Magical miracle cure, la la la. Another serious problem developed at light speed and resolved in record time, Beatrice Sparks style, as I said in the beginning. According to Kobo, this book is all of 37,000 words. Well, that's her shortest book. A lot of her books are short, but like, wow, even like other of her books were like over 40,000 words at the very least, which is short and insubstantial, even by Dr. Fraud's standards. I should totally do a future video about that, just basically talking about the length of her books in short. This might very well be her absolute worst book. Almost all of her books are pathetic bottom-of-the-barrel scrapings, but this one feels even shallower and more insubstantial than her horrible usual. It's just, oh boy, one of the worst books I have ever had the misfortune of reading. Dr. Fraud, you suck. May you continue to be exposed to the absolutely shameless fraud you were. So thank you guys very much for watching all the way through to the end, and I will see you guys again very soon with another video. I still have a whole bunch more of videos planned on Beatrice Sparks, so bye.